3, 2, 1.
Turn on the closed captions, because you're going to want this in writing. As Mikko Maestro is the special guest of the #1 podcast, Sit Down Marks, right here tonight. Let's just, we can cut it down that one.
It's okay. We'll start over.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's Mikko Maestro, the Finland's finest, and you're listening to the #1 podcast, Sit Down Marks. Ja tässä mä sanon, teidän kaikkien kannattaa kuunnella, olet sitten Suomesta tai Yhdysvalloista, koska tätä kaikki tulevat kertomaan kadulta toiselle, kaupungista toiseen.
What it is. What's going on, everybody? Come on in. Welcome. Sit down. It's episode number 141 of the Sit Down Marks podcast. It's your boy DB, and I've been bringing you this series of me sitting down with these hungry, young, independent professional wrestlers, and I'm not going to let you down today either, because I got another one in store for you as the Sit Down Marks officially go international, as we're going to have our first international guest on the podcast. But first of all, I want to thank everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook right now. And I want to thank everybody listening afterwards on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible. And like I said, man, today, this guy, I just basically just spent the weekend with him. He's been seen in Dreamwave and Zawa, and this guy is his nickname is the Finland's finest. So if you haven't heard about Mikko Maestro, we're going to get to know him today. But he is Finland born, and he's an independent professional wrestler right now in the Midwest scene, and we're going to get to know him today. So welcome to the podcast, everybody, for the first time, Mikko Maestro. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me, Dirty Bird.
Yeah, man. Good to see you. We talked about this pre-pod. We tried to get you on, in the past, scheduling stuff didn't work out, but I locked you in for December, and we've been, waiting on this date for a while. We've been talking about it every time we've seen each other. And so it's good to finally have you on, brother. So I know you had a fun weekend at Dreamwave. We're going to be talking about that. But Mikko, if nobody has ever seen Mikko Maestro before, can you explain who you are as a gimmick wrestler first before we get into where you're from?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for 13 years and 7 different countries and 15 different states right now, and now you can mainly see me here on Illinois and Midwest scene, as I moved here about 2 years ago, 18 months ago.
Okay.
So my wrestling style, I guess the best way to describe is that it's very European. I mean, I always like to think of it like you don't want to be like everybody else. You gotta be like something that stands out, something that's different. And I like to use moves like that I've kind of forgotten, slingshot and Tennessee roll, something like kind of old fashioned to a lot of character. It's the thing is, I have pretty thick accent, as you guys probably already figured out. And unfortunately, in wrestling, often the immigrant wrestlers are always portrayed as portrayed as like communists or terrorists, and
Sure.
that's why, like, the whole thing, I kind of flip it around, as I'm the your friendly neighborhood immigrant. That's like the whole thing. I kind of flip it around, as I'm the your friendly neighborhood immigrant. And unfortunately, in wrestling, often the immigrant wrestlers are always portrayed as communists or terrorists, and that's why, like, the whole thing, I kind of flip it around, as I'm the your friendly neighborhood immigrant. That's like gimmick basically.
Yeah.
Just a lot of smiles, kissing the babies, high fiving the fans, and that gives me energy, and that sells the merchandise. So why not? That's a
Yeah, for
good way to
sure,
do it.
dude. Now, I love that spin on it too, like as to why you are the type of character that you are. Like you're trying to flip the script and change the light um, on on guys that may have an accent when they talk. You know what I mean, and that kind of stuff in wrestling. And your gimmick is very fun. It's very warm. It's very crowd engaging. You come out to "Pretty Fly for a White Guy" by The Offspring. If nobody knows, now they know that okay, well, this is fun now, right? You know what I mean? And the crowd loves it. Kids loves it. Kids love it. Women love it. Men are laughing at it. You know what I mean? And you're having fun too. While you're doing it. So no, but I love that reasoning, man. But I love that reasoning for it. So
Yeah. So it's like if you want to like maybe dig deeper on like how to categorize my wrestling style, it's like if you go back in those carnival shows they have in UK, there it's the audience. It's mainly for children. That's the thing. That's like it's like show. It's not like children's show, but it's all ages show. Like no swearing. It's like lighthearted, and
yeah,
there you can see more like stuff that I do. But then here in the States, it's a little bit different, which actually works for my benefit. There's no other Mikko Maestro. There's no other Finnish wrestler in the whole North America, and I know because I've dug deep to find one, and I found a couple, but apparently they weren't legit. So
sure. Not many
yeah,
guys wearing close to traditional red singlet like you either. You know what I mean? Like you got the traditional straps. Um, like the mat wrestlers wear, but it's still professional wrestling. Looking. So not many guys are wearing those either. So that kind of sets you out too, is the wardrobe, right?
yeah. It's funny. I had two sets of singlets. I have a red one and a yellow one. I just
Mm.
wore the yellow one. I had worn it for like 4 or 5 years, I think. I bought both of these. I ordered them from Mexico. They were 40 euros each, and I've been wearing them, for over a decade now. I
Yeah,
bought another singlet from another company. I'm not gonna mention it because, I mean, I don't wanna talk dirt about anybody. But it wasn't the same. It's the cut was like wasn't as, how would you say it, revealing as I have,
sure.
and it didn't really fit me too well. I didn't like the print. After I washed it, the Mikko or the M sign almost came off. The quality wasn't there. So I ended up just giving it away for one young wrestler, and I was thinking, as long as these stay on, stay good, I'll keep wearing these singlets, and it's probably the best purchase I ever made. Because it's crazy. Also, 40 euros is about, I think, like $44 or so,
Yeah.
and I've worn it like hundreds of times. It's insane how they still work.
Right. Yeah. All right. So you said you've been in wrestling 13 years already. How old are you?
Oh well, I'd rather not say. If you don't
Okay,
mind.
all right. Well, let's don't say that. All right, so 13 years in the business. So let's let's
Yeah.
let's re- let's
See, the
rewind,
thing
man.
is, often people are surprised. They say I look a lot younger, so I like to keep it that way.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah. Let's kayfabe, man. Let's keep it. Yeah, let's keep it kayfabe. All right. So rewind, man. Let's talk. Born in Finland. Take us from being born in Finland, going to school, what it was like going to school. How long were you in Finland? All that kind of stuff. Like lead us up to, not wrestling wise, but lead us up. In your life before you got to America.
Yeah. So I was born in the capital, where I lived like
It's Helsinki,
uh,
right?
Helsinki, Finland. So how Finland is, it's about the size of California, but there's only 5.5 million people in the whole country, and
It's
about
tucked.
600,000
It's like
live
between,
in.
was it Norway and Sweden, correct?
Yeah, Norway
Yeah.
is the northern bordering country, and
Okay.
Sweden is on west, and Russia is on east. And
Gotcha.
then there's the
Okay.
Baltic Sea separating us from the mainland Europe. So if you want to go to like Estonia, you got to take the boat.
Okay.
And Finland is interesting because it's like it's northern country, but it's not Scandinavian country. The people came from other road. They came from the east. So the language, Norwegian and Swedish and Icelandic are very similar, and Danish. All those four. But we're the fifth Nordic country, and the Finnish language, it sounds more like Estonian than Swedish. So it
Okay.
sounds a lot different. So if you hear people with Swedish accent, it's a lot different than mine. As but Yeah, Finland is a very cool place, literally, and I always enjoyed it. I was born in January, and I always enjoyed the winter, long winters there,
Okay.
building snowmen. I like watching hockey, but I never learned to skate myself.
Mhm.
And yeah, it gets really dark in the winter time. There's only like maybe 4 or 5 hours of daylight, and on summertime it's
Oh.
the opposite. There's only like 3 hours of nighttime because it's so up in the north. Um, and Finnish people live apparently drink most coffee per capita, and
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely drink 5 to 6 cups a day myself, and I get comments on that. Well, I didn't start drinking coffee until I was 14, so maybe if I take you like way
14.
back, yeah,
Well,
and I start,
More Americans are drinking coffee earlier these days because of Starbucks and everything else on
yeah.
every corner. But yeah, okay, okay.
It's funny when the first Starbucks came to Finland. I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. It was on the airport, and people would come into their flights 2 hours early so they could try Starbucks. They wanted to see how what it's like. They would
Oh
go to the
yeah,
airport as early as they can because
sure.
there's going to be a long line when they get there.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, in Finland, there's like not as many selections. I mean, we had like McDonald's when I was growing up, but Burger King didn't come until 2011, So I heard that they opened KFC last year, but I
Oh
haven't been in Finland for a while. I'm going there after Christmas, actually.
yeah,
Um, but in Finland, I don't know. I was the kind of kid I really, really enjoyed playing Nintendo. My brother got the 8-bit Nintendo as
yeah.
uh, a Christmas gift when I was 3 years old, and he was a couple years older than me. And I loved Super Mario Brothers, and then we got the Super Nintendo. I think in N64 was in peak. There was four of us sitting in the room, or maybe more. We passed the controller,
Yeah,
playing Super Smash Brothers, GoldenEye. It was great.
yeah.
And then that was the first thing to socialize, kind of like playing video games together. And
Mhm.
then when I was 15, I started making my own alcohol, and that's like another thing. Like then drinking started combining us. So,
All
so
right.
how you do with this? I put it's not baking soda, it's something else, and sugar and water in a soda bottle, and
Sure.
creates pressure. And you have to release the pressure once a day for a week, because if you don't release the pressure, it's going to explode, and then you get caught.
Yeah.
But I would have those bottles under my bed, and it tastes terrible, but it's dirt cheap, so that's great.
Yeah, and it
So
worked. I'm sure.
yeah,
Okay.
and I mean, and you always get diarrhea from it, but it's worth it.
Oh
It
yeah.
was worth it. I wouldn't do it again, but back in the days, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Finnish country is our culture is very combined with drinking as well. So it's like we take it
Sure.
more lightly. Same way as we
Drinking
take
and smoking
nudity
cigarettes
more
too.
lightly.
Big smokers too. People smoke a lot
Uh,
too.
I don't know. I mean, my dad was a heavy smoker, but beyond
Sure.
that, I don't think it's that popular. No, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
just figured usually
I
they go
think
hand
it's
in hand.
changing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
but man, I played basketball due to my height, and I never really wanted to make it big in basketball. When I saw wrestling for the first time, I remember the very first time I saw it was my mom was like flipping through channels when she was setting up our new TV, because wrestling came on Finnish television in 2001. So
Okay.
they
Give
had
me.
SmackDown, right?
Let's don't give away your age, but tell me, like, what era was we watching when you saw it on TV? Were we in the 90s, 2000s?
It was in 2000. It was
Okay.
like WWE programming came to Finland after they had bought WCW. So they
Okay.
first had SmackDown, and it became the number one watched TV show. So they bought Monday Night Raw as well. The episodes were 45 minutes, so they were cut down. So if you
Mhm.
watch them both, it's an hour and a half.
Oh,
And then too many kids were watching it, so they had to change from Friday night to Sunday evening, Sunday night.
when the kids
And
are in bed.
yeah, the episodes were always 1 month delayed, particularly
Oh,
because they had to get the tapes and they had to subtitle it. So
sure,
yeah,
sure.
if I
The
would go to
process, I'm sure, is
WWE,
much simpler now.
yeah, I mean, if I would go to get WWE.com, I would see what's going to happen for the next month. It's crazy to
Wow.
think about it. So it's
Yeah.
never live.
Right.
So
Yeah.
but it was good because at 2005 Eurosport started showing TNA Impact, so you could have watched that one as well. They
Sure.
started watching New Japan Pro Wrestling on Eurosport 2, and that aired on Tuesday nights at 3 a.m. So I had to always tape it and watch it the next day.
Nice. Okay.
So,
Your
but there's very
VCR
good
tape.
variety there.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So All right, I'm gonna talk about the obvious one. I was going to ask, obviously, like who was the local hero. I know, probably the one that I'm gonna say who it is, but like Ludwig Vorga, like I know him, as the only Finnish wrestler that I remember from growing up, and you know what I mean. And was he on TV a lot around there? Was he on billboards? Like, was he popular?
No, no, that's the thing. When I heard that he was in WWF, I thought it was a joke because nobody ever mentioned it.
Hmm.
He was a huge celebrity in Finland because of his boxing career. And due to his boxing success, when they started the American Gladiators, they
Hmm.
just call it Gladiators because they're Finnish, but he
Sure.
was the character Viking over there, and
Yeah.
that got him the mainstream publicity. And after that, he started doing his own reality shows. He had one wrestling match. You can find that on YouTube, where it was like the self-made ring and it broke. But nobody talked about his wrestling career. It was like completely ignored for some reason in
Yeah.
Finland.
Oh wow.
He was extremely popular, in other areas of life, and he got into politics and all that. And if you look
Hmm.
at the like dirt sheets about celebrities, he would always be like on the cover, because he was in a bar fights and stuff. There's a lot to
Yeah.
write about him.
All right.
So yeah, I definitely knew Tony Halme, but when I heard he was in WWF, I didn't believe it. I was thinking it must be somebody else because it
Yeah,
looks
like
like him.
early 90s, I think. 90, 91, somewhere around in
Yeah,
there. I think he was in there. Yeah.
yeah. I think he started in 1993, and that's the thing. Like at the time, they didn't air in Finland at all, so
Yeah. Yeah.
they they had WWF somewhere in the late 80s because my parents' generation would know like Macho Man, Randy Savage, and so.
Sure.
But uh, then it was off the air until 2001. I started watching around 2002, right after WrestleMania 18. That's when I
Okay.
started following. And I remember the very first time I watched wrestling is we had a new TV. My mom was setting it up, so flipping through the channels, and then there was the scene when X Pac was rejoining NWO, and my mom
Okay.
was watching it, and she just went like, "Huh." Like, what is this crap? And switched the channel, and I was like curious, like, what's going on over there? I
Right.
don't know, like, there's a lot going on in that show. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So your training, your wrestling training, how and I mean, like you said, you've wrestled tons of places, but like in the beginning, who taught you how to bump? You know,
so the whole wrestling scene in Finland was started by this guy. He wrestles under the ring named Starbuck, and
Starbuck.
he's Starbuck, yeah, kind of like the
Okay.
coffee place, but
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's Finnish Canadian. His parents are Finnish, but he was born in Canada and he lived most of his life in Canada before he came to Finland. And
Okay.
so, yeah, he was trained by Lance Storm. He really wanted to be a wrestler. That's all he wanted to do in his life. And he became a ring announcer. And then somehow he got the connection. Lance was told that he could train him. So Lance Storm trained him the old school way, with the Hindu squats and all that. And
Mhm.
then when it was his first wrestling match, he didn't even have a pair of boots. So Chris Jericho lended his boots for my coach for his first
Super
match.
cool. Nice. It's a good
So
story.
yeah, yeah. So he came to Finland around like mid 90s, and he was wrestling in Europe at the time, like in Italy, UK, because there was no wrestling in Finland.
Yeah.
Then this one guy started Valhalla Pro Wrestling, which is the first promotion in Finland. I think it was 2003, and they're on their first show. They had like Shane Douglas there and Sabu, and they didn't make money out of it.
Okay.
So even though it was a good crowd, there was probably like 500 people. So the next thing they did, they rented the ice hockey hall to make even a bigger show.
Okay.
But they need to sell, I think, 3,000 tickets to break even.
Break even.
And unfortunately, they sold about 1,100, which is a
Oh.
great crowd, 1,100 people. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's so the company went bankrupt after two shows, unfortunately. And after that started Pro Wrestling Finlandia, and that's the show that I used to watch live. Their main event draw was often my coach Starbuck against Steve Corino from ECW.
Yeah.
Because at
Yeah.
the time, Steve was dating somebody from Finland, so he would fly into Finland, so they had to pay for his flights.
They
So
could
they would
use
book the
him.
shows around when he's there.
That's
Yeah,
convenient, right? Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that was good to see. Yeah, Steve Corino versus Starbuck. That was the main event of the night.
Yeah, nice, nice. That's what sold the tickets, huh? That's cool
Yeah,
though, man. That's a good story, man. I mean, heck
yeah.
yeah. I wish Steve Carino would have dated somebody in my town growing up so I could see him wrestle closer. But
You know, every
Okay.
now and then I still send him messages like, like happy birthday or something like that, and I write in Finnish, and he writes back, in Finnish. It's like, I
Oh
know he
yeah.
uses Google Translate how he does it, but I think it's funny.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. All right. So, talk to me about, about getting to wrestle in all these countries and how have all these trips and bookings come about?
So for the first 2 years, I only wrestled in Finland, and then there was opportunity. They were looking for a lot of guys in Denmark because they were
Okay.
gonna do their first rumble there, and they wanted to have like stars all over, like them to have Swedish guys, Norwegian guys,
Yeah.
and they had booked Tatanka for their shows. They had 3 shows in a row: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was called the Tatanka Tour. And the main event was always Tatanka against their biggest star.
Okay.
So yeah, that was the first time I ever went out of Finland. Had those 3 matches, and I went back to Denmark a couple more times. And it's like there's one wrestler who was very popular called Häyy Ukonsel. He had this Viking gimmick, and he actually made one appearance in WWE too. He didn't wrestle, but he was in the promo. So there's only been three Finnish wrestlers on WWE TV until
Okay.
this day. So yeah, like I learned a lot from him because he was like traveling all the time, and I contacted a promoter from Germany, and because Heimo was their champion, so they asked him like, "Who is this guy? Like, he's very young, he's like very green." And then Heimo was like, "Oh, but he's really good, so you guys should have
Mhm.
him." So how I did it is that I would do a show in Germany, and then we drove to Denmark and fly back to Finland. Like do the loop there.
Yes, sir.
Uh, but the thing was, they told me immediately, like, they like my style, but there's no market for Mikko Maestro here. So they said, would you be okay if tell that you're the third cousin of Jack Swagger and say that you're Mikko Swagger? And they want me to do the Patriot Lock and the Vader Bomb, all those moves there, kind of
Yes, you
promos to
guys
say
look a
the
lot alike.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard, yeah. So, but it was funny because we did those shows, and the kids would come ask me personal questions about Jack Swagger's life, and I had never met the guy. They would be like, "Oh, like,
Yeah.
hey, how's he doing?" And
Play
all that.
football with
So,
you and all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And then I had to like make it up in my mind, like, and then they're asking like, "So when am I going to be on Monday Night Raw or whatever?" And then
Right.
but it was great. There's a lot of these, there's excited children, and yeah, it's a weird gig in a sense, but you gotta take the bookings you have because you gotta fly everywhere. Um, After I won the Finnish heavyweight championship, that opened doors. There's always the curiosity, like, okay, he's the number one guy in Finland, so I got to wrestle in Netherlands and Switzerland. Probably a couple others. Oh, Sweden! Sweden is a good place to go because you can use the boat, so they can book 4 wrestlers at once. They book one room in cruise ship, and it goes there overnight.
Ah,
So Sweden is like the most common place you wrestle outside of Finland because it's they don't have to fly you in. They put you a bunch of wrestlers in a boat, and there's probably been like 4 or 5 invasion angles so far in Sweden. They have this Finnish invasion or invasions coming there every now and then.
off the boat.
Uh,
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
the first time I was in States, actually, it's a funny. So it was in California. Um, my coach had written a blog about me and about my wrestling, and then this one guy commented like I like him on the mic, but can he speak English? Can he do promos in English? And then my coach commented, yeah, for sure he can.
Mhm.
And I just look at this guy who's called Marcus Mack, and I did some research on him and contacted him, and he's so Marcus is running a promotion called All Pro Wrestling. It's known from Beyond the Mat documentary, probably
Okay. Yep. Yep.
mainly. I did really good shows in the Bay Area, and he's Finnish. I had no idea. His parents are from Finland. He's a Finnish guy.
All right.
So he helped me to get to California, and he had me a place to stay. But also, um, like one summer, I worked the wrestler from GCW. She wasn't GCW at the time, but the Dark Sheik.
The Dark Sheik.
Um, I,
Yeah.
I- the Dark Sheik. Yeah, I worked 3 matches with her in Finland when she was there.
Mhm.
And since I was going to San Francisco, and I Googled, like, hold on, Oakland is quite close. And she told me, yeah, it's like a 20-minute train, or maybe like hour train ride or something like that.
Yeah.
And she was running her shows Hood Slam over there. So I was training with those guys. And did a couple of shows for Hoodsam, which are fantastic. It's crazy. They at the time that they were doing it once a month, and they were selling it out every time. Eventually, they started doing it once a week, and they were selling out every show. Um, and we were training. It was actually a good group to be training with. Shotzi was there, who were made to WWE.
Shotzi
Mansoor was
Blackheart.
there. Yeah, she was training there at the time, and she went to the WWE Tough Enough contest,
Yeah.
but she got disqualified due to her heart condition, something, if I remember correctly. There's something there that she came back, way too early.
Okay.
But I'm glad she made it there eventually. And then Mansoor from Macy and Mansoor, he was training there in Oakland. So it's definitely a really good school and great place to learn. I always wanted to come to California anyway because I'm a Schwarzenegger guy, So, but I had no idea that Muscle Beach is like 8-hour drive, so I never got to see it on that first trip when I,
Muscle Beach, yeah.
yeah. So
That's
that was
great.
back in 2015. That was the first time I was here in America, and I was so nervous when they asked you like, "What are you doing here?" And you can stay here 90 days even without visa if you're from European EU country. But yeah, I don't know. I was just like terrified of the customs and everything. But once I made it here, I was like, "Now this is America, guys. Now I've seen it."
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so all right, so now you're stateside, in the USA. How do you get to the Midwest, as you are
Yeah.
now?
So I used to live in Portland, Oregon. Then I lived for about a year in Arizona, and now we moved to Illinois. Here, it's just family, just personal life takes the place sometimes.
Of
And
course, yeah.
so far, I liked it quite a bit. I mean, I didn't know anybody here. I was actually surprised there was more promotions here than I ever seen before. But it's
Exactly.
harder to get bookings than anywhere else because it didn't matter which state I was on. I had no problem getting bookings. But
Sure.
yeah, and that's how it started with Zawa. Actually, I was booked on another show that got cancelled, and then I was booked to Zawa, and that show got cancelled. And I was like, "What's going on?" And I finally started to get bookings, but the show's being cancelled.
Yeah.
So Zawa gave me another date, and I was like, "Sure." I put it on my calendar, and I'm wondering it's going to be cancelled again, But no, I went there. I really liked it, and even before the first match, they were talking about the future and giving me future dates, and
Sure.
yeah, no, it's a good place to be. It's a good crowd. There must have been like 150 people, and I was like, all right, that's the crowd, and they were really
Yeah.
into the show. I liked the product, because it was like kind of lighthearted as well. I mean, it's really hard hitting good talented wrestling, but there's a lot of character, some
It
comedy
is.
involved, and
Yep.
I felt like I think I could fit in here, and I
Yeah.
think they agreed because then I started doing probably 10 shows a year for the company, and
Yeah.
it's great. It's like an hour and a half drive from here. I'm in Galesburg, Illinois,
Oh, cool.
so the drive ain't too bad either. Yeah, it's everything clicked, and I really enjoyed my time there because I mean, also I didn't have any friends, so it's like I really liked the locker room. I feel like they're like the most underappreciated promotion that I ever seen. It's just
Sure.
crazy. Like you see guys like Christian Rose and Polar there wrestling constantly, and a lot of
Mhm.
other Dreamwave guys. And they're solid shows. They draw a good crowd, but they don't like. It's not like 1,000 people, once a week. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's
they have
like
a really solid fan base. They're very passionate. They know the
yeah,
storylines of what's going on. And yeah, Zeke's down there busting his tail. He's, putting on like great matches, telling good stories. And yeah, it is very character driven. It's funny you say that because the first time I ever seen you wrestle was when I had the podcast sponsoring a Zawa show, and I believe it was in Nelson. Might have been one of their first shows. You were wrestling Tyler Pregel that night.
yeah.
I don't know if that had to be one of your first Zawa matches. I don't know if it was the first.
That was different. That's the very first match I ever had
It
in
was.
Midwest. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Introduced to Tyler Pregel. Tell me about that one. Tyler take care of you?
Yeah, no, we had a good time. He's a big and strong man.
Yeah,
At
he
the time
is.
I was 240 pounds, but he made it look light and easy.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
unfortunately, one of the top ropes broke before our match. That's one thing. That's the only thing that I regret now. Watch the tape. I think it's a good solid match, but I was like, oh man, like you can see
Yeah.
that top rope wobbling, which makes the product looks a lot worse than it actually is. Because as I said, it's such a great company, great product, but it's just a bad timing. It was I think right after our match, it got fixed for sure. I mean, but
Right.
especially because at the end, he's pinning me in the corner and he puts his feet on the ropes. And
Right.
then, I mean, he looks like he weighs 500 pounds because the ropes are just bending down. But,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we've seen you in Zawa, man, and I've seen you at Dreamwave, a few times. We're just coming off a Dreamwave weekend. You've been there a lot to set up the ring, which we really appreciate it. And you got to be, let's talk about, you got to be in the Good as Gold Rumble this past Saturday night in LaSalle, Illinois. Um I went back and watched it earlier today. I always like to do that the weekend after. You drew number 17. Obviously, you did not come out with the win. You ran into a little, not so little wrecking ball named Bruce Hamilton that was happy to throw you out over the top rope. But you got a big reaction, man. The crowd was fun, having fun with you. You got a good laugh out of them. Just tell me about going to the ring, doing your thing, having fun, put all the work that you put in at Dreamwave, helping to set up the ring stuff, and then getting chances and shows and stuff like this. So, just tell me about that, man. It's got to feel pretty good, right?
yeah, man. I mean, as I said, I've been doing this for a while and different places, and in a lot of good promotions. And it's like, well, I mean, and a lot of not so good promotions. And I mean, it's probably a mixed bag. But when I was looking at the scene around, and I feel like, seem like Dreamwave is the place to be. They're just looking at their product, the production value, and I heard they're sold out all the time. And
Yeah.
so, actually, I heard like, and I mean, okay, never mind. I'm not gonna tweak the curtain too much, but yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, it all seemed great. So I was thinking like, I wanna see this, and then I saw it. I was very impressed. Um, I was told to suit up and show up, and I did, and I was the only one. I thought everybody's gonna it's like a dress code or something, but that's what started now. And since I made presents for the first time, I was wearing a suit, so now I feel
Sure.
like I have to do it all the time. So that's why if the fans see me around there walking with my suit, that's the thing. I
Sure.
can't back down from it now after doing it
Yeah,
for
nah,
years.
man. Nah, that's professional,
So,
man. That's the way they did it in the old days, man. I love it,
yeah,
man. I love it.
yeah, no, but I mean, it's definitely what I've seen the number one promotion in Illinois and maybe number one in the whole Midwest. It's they fly in a lot of great talent. They have a lot of great local talent there.
Mhm.
The matches are great, stories are great, lights are great, photography. There's like it, and it's sold out show. I don't know the ratings, but you can see because people are talking about dirt sheets that there's definitely a following beyond, like way beyond
Yeah.
that sold out crowd.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
They
I
sold
don't
out
know
the
what else.
February show today in 7 hours.
Oh, well, look at
Yeah.
that.
The February show sold out today in 7 hours. It was the second
Yeah.
fastest in history. The first fastest was when we had Bret Hart on the card.
Yeah, that's the first time I showed up too. I was like thinking like, oh wow, they sold out I think like 3 or 4 hours. So like,
Mhm.
okay, so
Yeah.
but no, it's like, yeah, I mean, we're not getting any younger, so it's like, do you really want to go on every single, smaller show everywhere they want to book you? And
Sure.
especially because, I'm not gonna lie, it's like the pay rate here in Midwest, is lower, but there's a lot more competition. So I guess it makes sense than what I'm maybe used to. But yeah, no, it's like, you gotta pick and choose, like where you wanna be, where you wanna go, and you gotta. That Dreamwave is the best game in town, so I don't mind showing up and giving what else like everything I have. It's and
Yeah.
if you don't make the cut every time, well, just gotta keep going. That's the thing. It's like
Right.
it's more about you and your own work ethic. And luckily, as immigrants, we outwork the locals very often. So
That's it. Yeah.
it's
There you go. Yeah. So you got a job outside of wrestling, man? Anything that you do for work?
yeah, I got a job. It's a decent decent office job, I might say. Yeah, it's in
Sure.
the timber framing industry, but I think
Okay.
that's most that I'd like to put out. I I was trained in a way where we don't really peel the curtain like nobody really believes in kayfabe anymore, but still, it's like we like to keep the rabbit in the hat instead of pulling it
Yeah.
out.
No, I love it.
So that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I keep going back to your show, it's easier and easier to get
Yeah.
get things out of me. But
Sure.
no, it's. I mean, I know I like to kind of like just keep my this keep your cards on your hand, and don't play them all at once. It keeps you interesting, and
Yeah.
so
All right,
yeah.
man. So, you enjoy being an independent wrestler? Do you still get pretty sore? Do you enjoy the car rides? To make the shows. Do you embrace that part of it?
No, I mean, I don't mind. I mean, the winters are really tough. That's for sure. But
Yeah,
I mean,
especially
in
here in
Finland,
Illinois.
yeah, most of the cars in Finland are stick gear. So I've never driven an automatic car before I came here in the States, and I realized how nice it is. And also, there's really no traffic here when I go to the show. So and
Mhm.
too bad, when I was racing in California, we were stuck in traffic all the time.
Yeah.
So that makes the drives go nicely. And there's some good radio channels. I was like, they phone couple and play like Corn and Limp Bizkit. I'm like, oh, look at this! Like that's too bad. That's the time. I have The Offspring's greatest hits on my CD player.
Okay.
My Ford Fiesta goes about 37 miles per gallon, and
Sure.
the gas over here is. I know people complain about gas price, but it's dirt cheap compared to Finland. So I
Yeah.
mean, so
How
yeah,
much
there's a
more?
lot to like. I don't really mind driving.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the check engine line just came out of my car, so we'll see how long I'll be driving with the Fiesta, but
Yeah. Oh, you're good for another 50,000 at least.
maybe. I mean, man, I took it. I've driven it from Oregon to North Carolina and back here, so it's
Right.
been yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a good ways. So how much are you getting to work per month? How many shows are you getting to work a month, you think, right now on average?
Right now, I'm doing 2 a month
Okay.
out of also my personal scheduling.
Yeah.
That's like the most that, that makes most sense to me, and it actually kind of helps out because when you have to say no, then often the guys want to book you ahead, and like right
Sure.
now it's like I'm trying to make my decisions what I want to do in March right now while we're finishing December. This Saturday I'll be on Homegrown Wrestling. That'll be the last show I'm going to do this year. I'm going
Okay.
to Finland actually uh, for to see some family over there, and another thing too is like I had a great opportunity to be an extra on WWE.
Yeah, let's
I
talk
did
about
that,
that.
yeah, I did that 2 years ago and never heard back. So I was thinking it's like one and done, and now I'm
Sure.
back on the loop. And
Heck yeah.
well, it seems like they might have something more coming after me next year. So that's another thing I might want to keep my calendar open.
For
I just
sure.
applied for a new Delta Airlines credit card, just in case there's opportunity a little bit further away. I got some miles
Yeah.
to spend. So,
There you go.
so
Yeah, so talk to me about, you've been doing some of that, man. Are you having fun doing some of the security, the extra work? Talk to me like about the catering. The catering's always legendary. Like the food's good, right?
yeah. The food's good, man. I mean, especially now because I'm like on a low carb diet, and I was thinking like, well,
They
you
got those
can't,
options.
shouldn't. Yeah. I mean, there's good, there's healthy options for sure, a lot, and a lot of variety. But it's like if I don't really believe in cheat days because I feel like if I eat one day as everything I want, it just gets out of hand.
Sure.
But that's the place where I was like, let's go for it, man. It's just like eat anything and take everything out of this moment when you're here, and
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's exciting to see how the production is done,
Mhm.
and just to know that you're in a spot where millions of people would love to be.
Yeah,
So you
of
really
course.
gotta. I know some people don't like the extra work; they feel like it's a lot of sitting around, a lot of waiting. But no, I mean, I find it very rewarding. I hope I get to do it as much as I can.
Right.
And as I said, if I'm like it's like where you want to be. Like when I'm helping out to set up and tear down ring on Dreamwave, it's worth it, because that's the biggest promotion there. And same thing there. If you get to be part of the biggest wrestling production in the world,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Why would
and
why
then,
wouldn't you want that spot?
yeah, the pay is decent too. So it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah. So another thing too, you're a recent congratulations, you're a recent new dad. You got that going on in your life, to work around in your crazy schedule. How's that going, man? With juggling, wrestling, and work, and
Well, that's exactly the reason why I started only taking 2 boogies a month. I was like, well, I guess I should be spending more time with the family, and they grow up so fast, and I was thinking
right,
like, well, like the thing about the pros and cons, sometimes you go to a show and it's maybe draw 40 people, and then you're sore afterwards, and maybe didn't sell as much merch as you wanted.
right,
But now, yeah, but that's the thing. Like now, basically every other weekend, I'm here with the kids. Go to the children's museum, go to Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, this one is just 11 months old, but I have another one, it's older one, and
yeah.
I gotta tell you guys, we don't have Chuck E. Cheese in Finland. That place amazing. I mean, I think I might enjoy it more than my son.
I
All
love
the games and everything. It's just,
it. I know,
no, but
man.
I mean that's the thing. Because I'm the kind of guy who is always nickel and diming everything. I like to drink Milwaukee Ice. And
Hmm.
buy my coffee from Walmart. But
Right.
when it comes to the kids, I just like open my wallet, man. It's like, yeah,
Oh
let's
man,
go
I
for
know,
it.
right? I know. It's so easy,
Yeah,
man. They just look at you. You just want to give them the world, man.
yeah, yeah.
Like I'm constantly pulling cash out of my wallet, giving it to my daughter. Just like, you want them to live better and than you ever did, right? So you just want to like give them everything. So that's good, man. That's good to hear that that's all going good. So let's
But
talk
yeah, but
about.
that's it. Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
what I was to say. It just keeps you busy. That's
Yeah,
that's all I really do. It's just work, wrestling with the kids, and working out. It's like I mean, I watch wrestling every time I'm eating. Basically, that's the easiest way to do it. Just turn on
sure.
TV while you eat. Just have to
Yeah,
sit down
yeah.
anyway.
Now,
But
now
like,
they can
I don't
see
know, like,
you on IWTV.
yeah,
So that's kind of cool, right?
yeah, man, that's great, man. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's like I don't follow TV shows, or I don't remember what the last time I watched a full movie.
Okay.
So it's like I don't know, but time will come, man. It's one
Yeah.
time I'm in my rocking chair, I can finally rewatch the Rocky movies. I watched the second one 2 years ago. I think that was the last time I sat down through one of those. They're long
Oh
ones. They're
yeah.
good, but they're long, man.
Yeah. Yeah. The Rockies are, they're up there as some of my favorite movies of all time. So let's get to talking about I want to give you props, man. And if you're watching right now on YouTube and Facebook, I want to thank you guys. I'm sitting down right now with Mikko Maestro. He is international professional wrestler based out of, or was born in Finland, but now based out of the Midwest. And I want to commend you, man. If you're watching right now, you can see this beautiful merch that I have of Mikko's. It's like the NWO Wolfpack, but it says Mikko, the Finland's finest, and you got a bunch of different designs. You got a Mario version. You got it, and so I want to commend you for the nice merch that you have. And while we're talking about it, is there anywhere that anybody can go buy merch, or they just kind of got to see you at the show?
Yeah. So there's the same guy that makes the designs. It's called Angry Lemonade.
Yep.
And now I should have written it. I think it's angrylemonade.net. But he has an online store. You can online get the new Miko, Super Miko T-shirts from there. The NWO shirts will be coming up there as well soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is extremely talented artist called. He goes by Angry Lemonade, and
Yeah. Yeah.
he
I've
has
seen that before.
designed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has designed all three of those shirts that I'm selling right now. And
Yeah. Super
yeah,
cool. I love the
and
Mario Brothers one. That one's super cool.
yeah, he
Um,
just contacted me. Like recently, I talked with him maybe like 6 months ago, and he mentioned, by the way, I just opened my online store. And I was like, oh, great! So now
yeah.
he's like handling my merch
Nice.
remotely.
It's awesome. Is there anybody that you study, that you maybe look up some old tapes of, I mean,
Well,
you're kind of a comedy wrestler, do you get some tips from like Santino Morella or something, like little,
you
anything
know,
like that?
I'm not much of a fantasy booking kind of guy, but I always thought about I love team up with Santino Marella as the European Union. I think that would be a great name for a tag team. But yeah, so as many of the fans probably noticed, every time I go to the ring, I'll do the dance as best as I can. That's from Alex Wright, a German wrestler from WCW.
Yeah.
He's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
I like
Your
screaming.
dance is similar to his, right? The
Yeah,
one you do, you know.
it's like it's my best imitation that I can without any sense of rhythm, you know.
Das
So yeah,
Wonder Kid. Yeah, man.
yeah,
Das
yeah.
Wonder.
I like Wright, Norman Smiley. I mean, I watched a lot of WCW Nitro. I think the mid card in Nitro is excellent. You know, Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero, uh, and yeah, I like to watch, you know, some British wrestling. You might
Sure.
have heard of Rollerball Rocco. He's a really
Hmm.
good one. Our Robbie Brookside.
Yeah, of
The
course.
thing is, like, it's kind of hard for me to watch sometimes. I don't like the rounds. It's for people who might not know on the British wrestling, not these days, but like on the golden era, I would say they wrestle in rounds like in a boxing match. So it
Right.
for me it feels kind of cuts the action, but the holds and the matches are so good. You know, it's highly recommend people go on YouTube and find World of Sports Wrestling, and you'll find it and hopefully fall in love with that. So. But yeah, I like to watch stuff that people don't really do, you know. So it's like that's why it's good to go back to the old stuff because
Yeah.
the old is becoming the new for me, you know.
Sure.
But
Cool.
I mean, I don't know. There's just a lot of guys to mention. I always hope that I can wrestle in my old age. So it's I love watching. I think Derry Funk is one of those guys. He just gets more and more sympathy as older he got. You know, God bless his soul. Now that he's gone, but I don't think I ever saw a bad Derry Funk match. You know, it's a character based business. You know, you gotta
Sure.
connect emotion to the character, and that's and I'm a character guy. So.
Yeah, of course. All
Razor
right, man.
Ramon, Scott
Yeah,
Hall, yeah.
yeah. There's a good one too. Yeah, he's on my top five for sure. All right, man. I want to talk to you about a couple more things here, and then I got a little 20 questions here, and we'll go home, brother. What's your quick advice for anybody that might be wanting to start out being a wrestler? What would you say to somebody that's about to start their journey?
Be yourself. Everybody else is already taken. I think that's the best line you can say. You know, it's
Sure.
there's no other Mikko Maestro, and I live by the sport, die by the sport. You know, it's like you know, it's just be you. There's no reason to duplicate or anything too much. I mean, I do the Alex Wright dance more like a tribute, you know, but I'm not Alex Wright, so
Sure.
it's I don't want to be. So
Yeah.
be yourself.
Where does Mikko Maestro want to do with wrestling? What's the end goal?
Well, I always thought that, you know, I mean, we all start watching. I'm not all, but most of us start watching WWE, and I think I've been doing this too long and giving it too much that I wouldn't do it. I always said that I want to wrestle one match in WWE, and thing is like, of course, I want to make a career in WWE, but
All right.
everything in life is temporary. So that's why it's most important is that you make it. If you're there for a day, or if you're there for a month, or there for a decade, one day it's going to be all gone, and that's why it's most important that you do it. So right now, I would say if I wrestle a dark match on Monday Night Raw, you know, I can die a happy man. That's the least. That's the
Sure.
bare bottom that I can be satisfied with. You know.
Okay. Yeah. I like it, man. I like it. All right, man. Before we go home, man, I got 20 quick questions for you, Mikko,
Look,
for all the fans out there to really get to know you, man. I'm gonna ask you 20 quick questions, so just give me some short answers
yeah,
here. All right, here we go,
this might
man.
be a good time to show my dog Arya here because she's getting getting nervous. We've been talking too long. You
I've
know?
been talking too long. Yeah. Don't worry, Arya. We're about to wrap it up, man. We're going home here shortly. So,
Yes.
all right,
Yeah, all
brother.
right.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
here we go,
Go
man.
later.
All right, what's your favorite food?
Oh, I know. Domino's pizza is great,
Okay.
but Domino's pizza with pepperoni and jalapenos. That's
Okay.
my choice.
Currently, who's your favorite wrestler?
Me.
All right, fair.
Okay.
So,
No, no. Or hold on. Currently, like active wrestler. Who do I like? Probably Chris Jericho.
okay. What about who's your favorite independent wrestler?
Uh, the Fowler from Green Bay Wrestling is our live.
Very nice. Good job. What's your favorite beverage of choice? You said Milwaukee Ice. Is that it?
Or Diet Pepsi. I'm a huge
Pepsi.
Pepsi guy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're driving down the road, man. You're stopping on your way to a show. What's your favorite snack to grab?
Well, I just started recently eating these. They're called legendary protein pastries. You can usually find them on KZ's. You know, they're low carb, high protein.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Okay. What's the one match that always stuck out in your head, like that you watched growing up, or maybe that you've seen lately? Or
Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania 19.
nice. What's your favorite restaurant to eat at?
There's this all-you-can-eat buffet close to my mom's house in Finland, so I can't remember the name of it, but
Okay.
it's great. It's a great sushi place. It's affordable. So yeah.
All right. Personally, who do you think is the best wrestler there ever was?
Andre the Giant.
Love it. Right now, WWE or AEW?
WWE.
What's your name something outside of family that you love other than wrestling?
Nintendo 64.
Nice. And what's the ultimate dream in wrestling? Is it
For me or in general?
yeah, just in general.
Uh, from rags to riches, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Do you dream of maybe being a heel one day?
Oh, I've been there. Yeah, and I still am. No, don't prefer it. It's kills the merchandise sales. You know.
Yeah, sure. All right, so you we talked about earlier. You come out to "Pretty Fly for a White Guy" by Offspring, and so does that mean you're a '90s music fan?
Yes, I just bought tickets to the When We Were Young concert in Las Vegas. They're going to have Bad Religion and The Offspring over there. It's going to be great.
Nice, heck yeah! All right, so that answers your favorite type of music. I was going to ask if you have any dogs or cats. Or we saw your dog. Any cat?
Yeah. No, I have this dog. She's half lab, half husky, a 10-year-old dog.
Yeah. Okay. Pick one: Stone Cold or The Rock.
The Rock,
Pick one: Shawn Michaels or The Undertaker.
Shawn Michaels.
Do you have any Ludwig Borga autographs?
I don't, but I have all three of his collector's cards. Yeah.
Okay. Last two. Do you have a favorite sports team?
Uh, yes, but it's a Finnish team. So there's
That's
ice
fair.
hockey is big in Finland.
Oh, yeah.
There's HIFK. It's the Helsinki's team on hockey.
Yeah.
They had players like called people watch NHL might remember this Stanley Cup winner Esa Tikkanen from Edmonton Oilers.
Gotcha.
He was the number one star in that team back in the days. Yeah, he's a
Okay.
fighter.
All right, Mikko. And question number 20: is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
I don't think so either. Fair enough. I had to hit you with the hard question there at the end. All right, Mikko, man, I really do appreciate you being on today. I was glad to finally get to sit down and talk to you, man. It's always a pleasure getting to talk to you at Dreamwave, and you know, funny story too. Mikko and I also share the same little corner locker room at Dreamwave that you know we
Yeah,
can squeeze in where we get in. So a lot of people don't know
that's
that.
very good with the suits. You know, that's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good place for us to hang our suits because Mikko, like you said, he always wears suits. I'm always bringing them to the show, so we got a nice little place to, you know, it's not the cleanest. It's the dungeon. It's the dungeon of the, you know, the Knights of Columbus building, man. But it's always awesome to talk to you, man. Finally got you on the pod, man. But before we go, man, I've had your handle for Instagram up on the screen. It's at Mikko.Maestro. But anywhere else, anybody can follow you on social media, Mikko.
So yeah, I'm on Twitter. It's at Mikko Maestro. For some reason, they don't let you put dot on the handle, so that doesn't have a dot on it. Yeah, just
Yeah.
at Mikko Maestro. Yeah, Instagram and Twitter are the ones that I'm most active on.
Nice. Okay, cool. One last thing, man. Before we go home, I wanted to say congratulations. You are recently a U.S. citizen. This is correct?
Yes,
So I want
since
to say
May.
congratulations. You're a welcome addition to our country, sir. You're a very good fellow, and I will vouch, not botch, but vouch for you anywhere, man. So was that an easy process for you? Was that a little nerve wracking? Like, what's that like, man? Like, you know, obviously I would never have to do that, but you know, what's it like trying
Yeah,
to?
well, it's expensive for sure. First of all, I think it was like $4,600 just to get the green card. Because when you're filing one of those papers, I was like
Jeez.
$700 filing fee, and it's nerve wracking because you never know how your case is going, and there's no one you can ask. You just wait for months before you get a letter in mail, and. Yeah, I had learned something about U.S. history quite a bit. They were asking a bunch of questions there. Every time there's like, I was getting my green card or filling the papers, they ask, "Have you ever been a part of the Communist Party?" Which I just think it's interesting and outdated, like to even ask.
Yeah,
But it came up every time. Even on the day when they interview you, or interviewed me to become a citizen, they still ask you, "Have you ever been a part of the Communist Party?" It always comes up,
Even
nothing
today.
personal, but it's just like they do ask it, and I was kind of surprised about it. I mean, the Cold War is still in people's minds. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long and expensive process. Once you get there, it feels pretty good. You can
It's true. It's like
drive, drink and drive. I mean,
right, yeah. So it's like getting finally getting past the finish line, man. So well, at
yeah.
least you're on this side of it now, man, and it's all over with. But Mikko, thanks again for being on the podcast today, brother. Really do appreciate it. Go follow Mikko Maestro on all his social media platforms. I want to thank everybody once again for watching on YouTube and Facebook today, and I want to thank everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all those podcast platforms out there. We'll see you guys here pretty soon. We'll be back here just another week. Next week, we're going to be talking about Saturday night's main event. Mikko Maestro, the Finland's finest. Thank you for joining us on the Sit Down Mars podcast, brother.
Thank you for having me. I love to be back.
All right. Sounds good, brother. Yeah, man. We'd be glad to have you back. So, all right, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Happy holidays. I am DB for Mikko Maestro. We are Top Guys, and we are out.